When we talk about managing a condition like type 1 diabetes, we tend to lean on one simple number to tell us how things are going. But what if I told you that simple number, that average, is actually hiding a much more dangerous story? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the dangers that lie just beyond the average.
Because here's the thing, when it comes to your blood sugar, a good-looking average can completely mask a dangerous day-to-day roller coaster. It's this hidden challenge that so many people with diabetes are up against, and it's something we absolutely need to talk about.
So let's start with that traditional metric. The one number that's pretty much dominated diabetes care for decades. It seems so simple, but its simplicity, well, that's exactly where the trouble starts.
To really get this, I want you to meet Emma. She's 17, and she's been living with type 1 diabetes for about 7 years now. And even though she's using modern tech like a continuous glucose monitor, her control has been a real struggle. So much so, they even had to take her off her insulin pump. Her story, it just perfectly captures the problem we're digging into.
Okay, so for years, the gold standard, the big goal, has been this number, the HA1C. You can think of it like a 3-month batting average for your blood sugar, and the international guidelines all say that for young people like Emma, you want that number to be 6.5% or less. That's the target to keep long-term risks low.
But when you look at Emma's recent levels, you can see she's consistently way above that target. Her doctors see these numbers and they know, okay, something's not right. But what these numbers don't tell them is the why. They don't show the daily chaos that's happening behind that simple average.
And that, right there, brings us to the real story, the one that's happening every single minute of every single day for Emma. It's time to take a look at the hidden roller coaster that the HbA1c just completely misses.
So this roller coaster, it has a name. It's called glycemic variability. And it's not about the average at all. It's all about the swings, the sharp, soaring peaks of high blood sugar and those terrifying, plunging valleys of low blood sugar that can happen all day long. It's the turbulence of the flight, not just where the plane lands.
Here's a great way to think about it. The HbA1c is like the final score of a basketball game. It tells you who won. But a different number, the coefficient of variation, or CV, that's the live, minute-by-minute, play-by-play commentary. It tells you how the game was played, all the dramatic swings, the crazy comebacks, the whole story that led to that final score.
So here's the crucial part. For stable, low-risk diabetes control, the goal is to keep that CV number below 36%. And you can probably guess where this is going. Emma's CV is consistently much higher than that. And that tells us her blood sugar isn't just high on average, it's dangerously unstable.
Okay, so her blood sugar is swinging all over the place. But why is that so much more dangerous than just having a consistently high number? I mean, high is high, right? Well, let's break down why these swings really matter.
This is the key. High variability is actually a stronger predictor of those severe, life-threatening low blood sugar events, hypoglycemia, than the average glucose level is. And on top of that immediate danger, these constant swings are directly tied to the development of those awful long-term complications like nerve and kidney damage.
And get this, a recent study put it so plainly. They've found that this variability is the single best predictor for early nerve damage in kids and teens with type 1 diabetes. It's like the canary in the coal mine, a warning sign that can show up long before the HbA1c starts flashing red.
So if this glycemic variability is the real culprit, the true villain of our story, what's causing it? It's time to go into detective mode and unmask the suspects behind all this instability.
And it turns out we've got a whole lineup of presumed suspects. It's a really complex mix. You've got things like insulin dosing, the hormonal chaos of puberty, how much you exercise, diet, BMI, even individual behaviors. It's a tough case with a lot of co-conspirators.
But of all those factors, there's one that often gets overlooked, a key hormonal player that's kind of working against the system, pulling the strings from behind the scenes. So what is it?
It's a hormone called glucagon. See, in a person without diabetes, insulin acts like the brakes on blood sugar, and glucagon is the gas pedal. They work in this perfect, elegant balance. But in type 1 diabetes, that gas pedal, the glucagon, is often broken. It gets pressed at all the wrong times, basically pouring fuel on the fire of high blood sugar.
And this realization that it's not just an insulin problem, but a glucagon problem too, well, it changes everything. It opens the door to a whole new way of thinking about treatment, a way that goes far beyond just trying to replace the insulin that the body is missing.
And that brings us to a class of medications you have definitely heard about lately, GLP-1 Receptor Agonists. Now, they're famous for weight loss, sure, but one of the really cool things they do is help suppress that out-of-control glucagon. For someone with type 1 diabetes, that could be an absolute game changer.
And the data we have from adults with type 1 is pretty amazing. Studies are showing that when you add a GLP-1, you see big improvements in glycemic control, more time spent in that healthy range, people needing less insulin overall, and they see significant weight loss. It's like you're finally tackling the problem from another angle.
So, let's bring all of this back to Emma. Because with this new understanding, her story is about to head into a completely new chapter, one that really looks toward the future of how we manage this incredibly complex condition. Facing this constant high variability and all the risks that came with it, Emma's medical team made a really bold call. They decided to try an off-label therapy using a GLP-1, specifically to target that glucagon problem that insulin just couldn't solve on its own.
And wow, look at this. This gives you a snapshot of just how serious things were for her. Before starting this new treatment, Emma was spending only 15% of her entire day in the target healthy range. A staggering 65% of her time was spent with dangerously high blood sugar.
I mean, just let that sink in for a second. For more than 20 hours every single day, her body was outside the safe zone. It was under the constant, relentless stress and damage caused by those extreme highs. That's the brutal reality that her simple average hemoglobin A1C score was hiding.
And all of this, Emma's whole story, it forces us to ask this huge question. Maybe the future of diabetes care isn't just about replacing the one hormone that's missing, insulin. Maybe the real future is about understanding and restoring the balance of the entire complex system. It really makes you think, doesn't it?